Welcome to the second episode of this series of putting in shadows before you start using other colors. And I am using the Polychromos Cobalt Blue. And today I will add a little bit more shadow. These buildings look like they are all rounded, so the walls are rounded, and that means if a wall is round, then the shadow will fade away. So for example, with this building in the front, the darkest place is on the right side. And then as we move to the left, the shadow will fade away. That only happens when you are shading a round object, like a ball, a balloon, some sort of jar, a glass. This will not happen with a square box with 4 sides. Now I'm lucky because those polychromos, you can move it around a little bit and then you can fade it even more. So now I think that shadow needs to come to the left even more. I am really curious about the end result of this technique. Normally I don't work like this. So I don't want to overdo it because I want to be able to cover the shaded areas with other colors as well. So now this building is casting a shadow on this building, and because this is round, this will mean that the casted shadow is also fading. Is that true? Yes. I'm starting to doubt myself. But I think So I imagine that all these buildings have a rounded shape. So this one's like some sort of cylinder. I will put in this shadow. The shadow that a sphere casts on a background can be pretty complicated to color, because there is a core shadow. I don't know exactly how they call it, but there is something that they call a core shadow, and then the area where the shadow seems to fade away. And well, it's complicated, so let's keep it a little bit more simple. As long as you know that when an object is round, the shadow on the object itself will fade away, but the shadow it casts also has some sense of fading away. It's a little bit like a solar eclipse. If there is a solar eclipse, I believe you say, eclipse, then there is this area on Earth where it will be slightly darker, and there will be this small path on Earth where for some minutes it will be completely dark. So there is a core shadow that is being cast, and there is an area around it that has little light, but it's not completely dark. And because the sun and the moon and the distance to the earth, and it's all very complicated, it works a little bit different than when you put some spheric object on a table. Maybe you should just put an egg on a table and just see what happens. I'm messing around now. This is really not okay. So I think this is enough shadow for now, and let's put some color in this drawing. But first I will have a bit of this gorgeous little chocolate goodie. Ooh, that tastes wonderful. I often take a cup of tea and some chocolate with me when I go coloring. Really nice. Okay. I think I would like to make this house in the front green, and I will start with my Erogeton asparagus. It is the lightest green that I have. It is lighter than the lightest green I have in my Polychroma set, but I do have similar in my Prismacolor set. Actually, that is not true. The white pencil is the Erogeton, and then over here this is a Prismacolor, and this is a Caran d'Ache Luminance, but they both are not as light as this Erogeton. I'm going to use the Erogeton, and it is, I don't know if you can see anything, but I can see nothing. It is so light that it doesn't show up. So I will move over to the spring green of the Caran d'Ache. The name of this color on this Caran d'Ache pencil is both in French and in English on the pencil, but it is a completely different name in both languages. I don't know why that is. In English it is called spring green, and in French they call it vert de mai, and that means May green, the month of May. Now, I wonder, why don't you just call this green May green in English? Now I'm going to add the same color, this spring green, on top of this shaded cobalt blue area with a very light touch. Let's just see what is going to happen. We are following the technique of the oil painters and the pastel painters, and I have seen acrylic painters do the same thing. Now I have to say there are some very positive things about shading first, because I think it gives your drawing a very clear structure. Can you see that this is green? Because I see on the screen that it looks pretty yellow to you. Yeah, this looks, on screen it looks very yellow. Well, okay, let's go to the next, and let's give that a warm tone, something like orange or light red. And I'm going to use my Brownzeal light red. It is a red with a tendency to orange. And again, I will cover the complete building, also the shaded area. And now I would like to make, what color should I take? Well, I am going for a turquoise. Let's see. A cobalt turquoise from the Polychromos series. Now this is interesting because this is a pretty dark color, so now I'm very interested in what is going to happen, because it has almost the same tone, darkness, as the cobalt blue that I used for the shadows. So maybe I need to darken the shadows. But let's see what happens. This is just experimenting. And I like experimenting, discovering new things. That is how we got out of that cave. Imagine if no one ever experimented. Then we would be still in that cave. And now I will be going for a green one. And a slightly darker green than the first one, the Vert de Mai. Let's see, I want a warmer green. How about this one? Oh, this is a French one too, by Erogeton. Verdigris. Grayish green, or greenish gray, that is what it says. Oh, do you see what I see? I am coloring the roof instead of the walls of this tiny house. That was not what I wanted to do, but that was a moment of, I lost my focus. It doesn't happen very often to me when I'm coloring, but I was thinking about something else. The groceries I want to buy. So don't think about your groceries when you're coloring, because then this happens. Oh, I almost dropped you. So, thanks to this Faber-Castell eraser, I solved the mistake. Well, I think this could be a very, very interesting way of coloring. So I will do another episode and just keep coloring and we'll see what happens. Bye bye.